Liverpool have beaten Newcastle United 3-2. That is the most ridiculous game I've seen in years, and a huge moment for Liverpool in the title race. Getting maximum points in this kind of game is scary, scary stuff. You feel there's this inevitability about Liverpool getting maximum points every single week. Is what champions do. And absolutely superb from the youngster Rio Gamoa today. It was outstanding stuff. We're going to break down all the goals, all the drama. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, would really appreciate it, and leave your comments down below any initial impressions of what could be the game of the season. And it's only 2 weeks in, and by the way, Liverpool could have had the game of the season at the start against Bournemouth last week. It is absurd how dramatic some of these Liverpool games are going, and the initial observation has to be that somewhere along the line Liverpool will have to be a little bit more boring, of course, keep a few more clean sheets than they're currently doing, conceding 4 goals now in 2 games, but that will eventually come. Getting maximum points at St. James's Park in this kind of context is the sign of champions. Early to say that, of course, but they're playing with a freedom in the final third, and with substitutions like Arne Slot's making, that's getting them over the line every single week. It's early to say what I'm saying, but there's this inevitability and momentum that Liverpool have got that you feel that maybe Man City and Arsenal don't quite have. It's a serious statement in this kind of context. It felt like a derby today. It felt like an FA Cup final. It felt like a Champions League final. Newcastle obviously playing for pride. They're trying to try and get their first win of the season, score their first goals of the season, which they did twice today. But of course, Isaac adds an element of drama to the fixture, on top of a fixture that's dramatically been a huge game in historical context in the Premier League between these two sides that have cost both sides titles throughout the years. So it's a massive, massive moment for Liverpool to get maximum points. We're going to break down all the goals, but you have to say in the first half, Newcastle were electric. Liverpool could barely breathe. I thought Liverpool did very, very well in controlling the ball for 2, 3, 4 minutes at a time. You're never going to get 9 minutes of pure control at St. James's Park anyway, but particularly in this kind of atmosphere. I thought Wirtz did very, very well in small little pockets. Gravenberch into Gakpo. There were nice little elements, and Liverpool had a couple of half chances in the first half. Nothing major. And Newcastle United were finding pockets themselves, some big crosses going into Gordon. One big chance about 8 yards out he could have buried with his head. You feel that he's maybe a little bit too small to be getting on some of these chances, and maybe a striker who's maybe 6'3" from Sweden could have buried it. Ultimately, Gordon gets sent off. We'll talk about that later as well. But you have to give massive credit to Ryan Gravenberch. His first start in the Premier League, obviously couldn't play the previous week against Bournemouth. He brought an element of control, an element of gravitas to that midfield, and just getting it on the edge of the box and striking from 25 yards out. It is an outstanding goal. Deflected, yes, but it was still going in my opinion. It was still going right into the corner. It's an outstanding kind of finish that top level sides always have players that can do that, particularly when you're trying to win the Premier League. Sometimes you are going to win games against the kind of the rhythm of the game. It was all going Newcastle's way, and ultimately Gravenberch gets the first goal, which gave Liverpool really a platform to feel that even if they weren't playing well today, they were going to get a result, and that's of course what happened today. After that, Anthony Gordon gets sent off. Let me just talk about the goals first, and then we'll talk about the VAR incident. Second half, 1 minute in, Ekitike with an outstanding finish. It kind of rebounds in the box after Newcastle actually kick off the second half. And it is an outstanding finish into the far post. 3 goals in 3 games if you include the Community Shield. Ekitike will end up with 20 plus goals in the Premier League, I think, this season. I think he's getting everything that Salah's given to him on a silver platter. Gakpo's coming in on his strong foot as well, giving things into Ekitike first time. I think he's a very instinctive finisher. He could have had a hat-trick against Bournemouth. Today, not many chances. Actually, Liverpool created some of the fewest amount of chances Arne Slot's ever had in a Premier League game. And you feel the fact they scored 3 goals today is very indicative of a side that has a very high conversion rate. They were dangerous every time they made an attempt on goal against Newcastle United. They didn't do it many times. Dan Burn was exceptional. Shaw was fantastic. The keeper was great. Livramento was superb as well. Trippier was fantastic. So it was a very, very hard thing to score 3 against this Newcastle side. It got a little bit easier after Gordon got sent off, particularly with that final goal. But Newcastle did so well, and this is why Eddie Howe is one of the best managers in European football. He's not Arne Slot, he's not Arteta, he's not Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Ancelotti. Of course not. but he's just below that. I think he's just below the kind of Unai Emerys of the world. He's in that kind of, if Iriola's being linked to Real Madrid last season, for example, maybe it's a bad shout, Bournemouth, but we're talking he's a top level Europa League manager. He's a sort of Champions League level manager in and around that kind of bandwidth. What he's doing with these Newcastle players, he's making them play through brick walls, having 10 men, the amount of running that they were doing today, the quality that they are able to display in possession as well, and the belief every single game that they can get something out of it. Absolutely outstanding. I can't believe they haven't got anything out of the fixture today, and that says a lot about how good Liverpool were. But you have to say massive credit to Eddie Howe. But Bruno gets the header. It's a great finish. Alisson, nothing he could do about it. It's a very, very good header out of nowhere to ultimately get to make it 2-1. And then it's the substitute who I thought was a little bit clunky when he came on. Osula gets a beautiful opportunity just to finish it past the Liverpool back line. It was a little bit route one from Nick Pope, and it bounces into Osula's path, and he finds a great route to goal and scores. I can't believe that he got that goal, because I thought it was 2-2. I thought it was game over. The fans were going potty. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then we have to talk about Rio Gamoa's goal. I mean, he had a great pre-season. I saw him score an outstanding goal against Athletic, I think it was. This kid is absolutely superb. And in a weekend, we're seeing the likes of Ethan Wanyeri, Max Dowman. You're seeing young kids at Man City doing bits as well. Newcastle got them a few themselves, someone like Miley. You feel there's like a young generation of Premier League superstars being born. And Rio Gamoa is one of them, because ironically, it comes from probably one of the oldest players on the pitch in terms of Mohamed Salah. Gets it on the right-hand side, feeds an unbelievable cross with power, but a little bit of precision. It's a little bit dead weight as well behind the Newcastle back line, who are running back to try and stop the goal from happening. And it's beautifully, beautifully left. I think it's left by Cody Gakpo, if I'm not mistaken. He leaves it, and it falls into the path of Rio Gamoa. It is outstanding. The player who left it, you have to let me know in the comments down below. I think it's Gakpo who's running onto it, or it might be Gravenberch. Someone leaves it, and it's just genius. It's genius. And Gamoa with an unbelievable strike into the far corner. It's got control. It's got power. When I saw him running onto it, there are some players in the Premier League who would sky that. They really would. Someone like a Bruno Fernandes, I'm not sure if he'd bury that. I really don't in that situation. I just knew he'd hit it. Just the way he ran up to it, I knew he'd scored a goal. It is an outstanding goal. And if it's a difference between 2, 3, 4 points that win you the Premier League this season, particularly with the strength of Chelsea, Man City, and Arsenal, this could already be one of those games that actually define the Premier League season for Liverpool. And it's come from a 16, 17-year-old. It does raise the question, do Liverpool need to go into the market for a Rodrigo, for a Bradley Barcola? Big debates needed, because this kid could play a lot of football this season with Gakpo, with Ekitike, with Wirtz, if you count him as a forward, with Salah. Maybe they've got the quality there, but he is absolutely superb. A lot of pressure on him now, because there'll be a lot of people thinking he needs to start more football matches. But nonetheless, I mean, it's Wayne Rooney stuff at that age to be scoring this kind of goal at St. James's Park. It is outstanding. We'll talk about the Anthony Gordon sending off. And look, I mean, it's ironic. I tweeted that it was never a red card. It is a foul. Of course it's a foul. Of course it's a yellow card. You feel the referee didn't give it on the pitch. He's going over to the screen. He's having to re-referee big decisions, because that's where VAR is putting someone like Simon Hooper. And of course, he's mic'd up to 75,000 Geordies. He must think that he's Liam Gallagher from Oasis. He gets the ability to perform, to entertain, to be the star of the show. A lot of these referees are being put on a pedestal that I don't agree with. I think referees should be like boxing referees. Boxing referees, they're 1/3 of the blokes in a boxing ring. There's 3 blokes in every single fight. You never notice the referee, because that's what it's meant to be. It's about the 2 fighters, and it's about the 22 guys playing football, not the guy in the yellow. And you feel that this technology with ref cam, with the microphone, it's giving someone like Simon Hooper the ability to really micromanage, re-referee games. I know he's being told to do it. Maybe in modern football it is a red card. Alan Shearer seems to think it is. But my view of football is clumsy challenges that can be a little bit nasty physically. It was a nasty challenge. There's some scars on Van Dijk's calf, no doubt. But it's a yellow card. That's my view of football, and it has been a yellow card for about 150 years of association football. These are the facts. Whether you like it or not, you can slag me off in the comments. But it has changed in the last 2 or 3 years. It's getting to the point where we're being a little bit excessively punitive with certain decisions in big games, which is sterilising it. And that's just my view of it. Ultimately, it's a stupid decision, whatever you say about Gordon. I'm glad that Van Dijk isn't majorly injured because, you know, it could go wrong at that angle. But then you re-watch it, you think it's not that heavy. I don't know. It's not a red card. It's just soft, man. It is just soft, in my honest opinion. Lots of positives. Whatever you say about Newcastle, who have got 1 point out of a possible 6, a little bit toothless against Aston Villa last week. Tonali was superb. Joelinton was fantastic. Bruno was, I mean, he's approaching Champions League level kind of. He could be playing for any of the big 3 or 4 in the Champions League, trying to win the Champions League every single season. I think he could play for Real Madrid. I think he's that good. He was fantastic today. He really, really was. Newcastle will be concerned. There's a few injury concerns there. Tonali, Joelinton had to go off as well. Of course, Gordon's now out for a bit of time. Fabian Schär got injured as well. So it tells you about the robust physical nature of this game. This was a dramatic, a big, huge match. Felt like a cup final. And Liverpool have gotten through it in an unbelievable fashion. Salah today, I mean, we're not going to talk about Salah in the next 20 years in this performance in particular. Absolutely not, because he's got so many games where he gets a brace, he gets 3 assists, he gets a hat-trick, he gets a penalty. And today he was exceptionally quiet, and that's because Newcastle had a lot of the ball and they were pushing Liverpool back. But that ball across for the winning goal is put on a pedestal. It is perfection. It's the highest quality ball you're ever going to see. It really is. It kills the Newcastle back line. It's not just putting it into an area. It's controlled. It's measured. It's high quality. It really is. And you have to let me know in the comments down below who leaves it, because it's frustrating me. I didn't write that in my notes. But ultimately, Gamora, unbelievable finish. And it's won Liverpool a huge game so early into the season. Have to give out massive credit to Kerkez. I thought he had a great game. Szoboszlai rarely got caught out by Gordon or Barnes, really. Very rare. I thought he handled Harvey Barnes very well. Konate and Van Dijk were actually superb. They conceded a couple of goals, but you feel like you just leave that. The clean sheets will come in other kind of fixtures. St. James's Park, you know, it's a tough place to go. Kerkez looked like he definitely improved from last game as well. And Curtis Jones was lively today, winning the ball early, causing havoc in that midfield and allowing Gravenberch probably the kind of time and space where he was able to dictate things in certain moments. Not as much as you want to see from Liverpool today if you're a Liverpool fan supporting what's going on at the club at the moment, but certainly little pockets that Arne Slot is getting these players into and doing unbelievable things. Gravenberch, that goal, Salah's little moment of genius at the end. Arne Slot is developing a very good system here where he's still getting the best out of these players in small pockets when they're under pressure against a club like Newcastle. So the results and the clean sheets will pick up in different games against sides that aren't as quality, with stadiums that aren't as intense as St. James's Park. And that is scary for the rest of the Premier League. Ekitike, let's just wrap up with him. 3 goals in 3 games. Looks very confident, very astute, holds the ball up as well. And he's started what is a Liverpool win. I can't believe I'm saying that. Very good result today. It's an exceptional result. You could have taken a 0-0. I think Arne Slot would have sold his right kidney for a 0-0. I really do. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments down below. Huge win for Liverpool.